Hey guys, what's up? This is Arturo, Fixers Automotive. So, as you guys saw, we have a Toyota here today. Toyota Camry 2002. Complaint was he's leaking power steering fluid. Took a look about a week ago, and the rack and pinion is leaking on this thing. So I figured I'd bring you guys along and see what we can get into. Let's go. Alright, so there's your rack and pinion right here. Hope you can see that. There's your boot. It's leaking right out of the boot. So this basically this end seal is no good. So it's leaking right there. I know they sell rebuild kits for this, but for the amount of work and labor and everything else to take this out, to tear this all down, to change that seal, you might as well just put a new one in it. So that's what we're gonna do today. So obviously, so this boot's still on. So we're gonna change this whole thing, and we're gonna put new tie rod ends on this thing. So looking good. All right, so step one of many, we're gonna be taking the tire off. So, you know what? Nice, stupid caps. Toyota uses. So get that out. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys just one side, obviously for the tie rod end, breaking loose the nut, and then I'm not gonna show you guys the other side. Obviously, take tire off, and we're gonna do the exact same thing on this side as we do on the other side. So I'll show you over here. All right, this bites today, man. I don't have my tool cart with me. It's stuck in the garage, and I got a car up on the lift and inside, and there's not enough room to get my cart around without moving a bunch of stuff. So I'm gonna work the hard way today. So what we do is we're gonna break loose this this tie rod end nut, and then what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna break the adjustment nut here. We're just gonna break it loose because we have to count the turns. And trying to break this loose when you have everything torn apart on the ground is like almost impossible. It's real pain. So it's a good tip. Make sure you break that loose. So where does this thing go? Alright. This is 19 or 17? 17. Oh, another thing too, I forgot to mention this to you guys. Before you take the actual steering rod off of the top of the rack and pinion, make sure everything is lined up. Make sure your wheels are straight. Make sure the struts. While this doesn't have to be straight, not necessarily if you really think about it, but just make sure everything is all lined up. Make sure your wheels are straight, your steering wheel straight. And then when everything is disconnected, do not sit there and rotate, play with the steering wheel, because you have clock swings and stuff that wires only spin so far. So just make sure before you do anything, before you take the actual shaft apart, make sure everything's lined up. So I forgot to mention that to you guys. Alright, so we're going to break this loose here. Give it a couple taps. That'll come off. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'll break loose the jam nut, hit it with a hammer, knock this out. Then we'll probably pull a line off. We'll catch the oil. Then we'll go inside and we'll go from there. Alright, so we're going to try to break loose these nuts. 17 millimeter. See if I can. Hopefully you guys can see that. Let's see if I can just break it loose. These suckers are tight. Oh my god. Can't really get a ratchet, like a socket on there. Now they got broke loose. Throw the old Richie ratchet. that one loose. Let's bring it over to the other side. See that? God dang. Ugh. Is that thing spinning? No, it's not. Alright, it broke loose. The Richie ratchet. Ah, now it's spinning. Oh. Let's get to the back side if I can. Jeez, no room to work. How about the outside? Yep, right here. Okay, there we go. We'll get it to the point it's getting ready to come out. We'll get this one out. Now my wheel is straight, my wheels are straight, my steering wheel is straight. And then so, I'll show you guys right here. So there is so this is your 12mm nut that we got to take off. That's what cannot move once this is, you know, freed apart. Pressure line, return line, or the opposite, I don't know. So these are 17mm. We'll use a couple of crow's foot to get to these, and then we'll catch all the oil, and we'll see if we can get it out. See if there's enough room to get it out without taking without loosening the sway bar. So we'll go after that and these two lines. Let's see if I can get this out with a wrench first. If it doesn't move. What you can do too, you can also make a alignment mark, or just make sure it comes back in the same orientation, because it will probably move a little bit once you go to break this nut loose. So move just a little bit. A little bit of movement should be okay, because the alignment guy should be able to, you know, get it back in line when they do the alignment. So that's what your bolt looks like. Got little teeth on it. And we'll pressure wash this once it's all done. We don't want to give it to the alignment guys all greasy. Let's see if we can break this loose. Ugh. Alright, so we got our stubby. Oh, there we go. Okay, both lines are out. You can catch all this oil. There we go. Oh, come on. So what's going on here is the long bolts won't go back far enough on both sides, because they hit the sway bar bracket. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to drop the back part of the subframe, the engine cradle, to get to these bolts, to take off the sway bar bracket bolts, to move the sway bar back far enough so I can pull the bolts out. What a pain. Well, let's go do that. Let's take this off. There's these little brackets that we're going to take off first, or just loosen. Get the other side. So then what I'm going to do first, I'm going to grab my stand here, just in case if I get a little trigger happy. Then we'll use the jack screw to control it when we lower it down. See if we can lower this thing. Make sure we're not catching anything. It's coming down. You don't go any further than that. Yep. You gotta watch out for, like, you know, like heater hose lines and, you know, evap, plastic evap lines up on top. You gotta watch that too. So that'll be enough to get us these 12mm bolts out, and we can move the sway bar back. Hope you guys can see that, because I can't. So 12mm right there. We'll get that. Ugh. So we do on both sides. Should be enough. Also, by lowering it, our rack and pinion has dropped down and it's starting to come out of the collar for the steering rod out of the steering column. See, this might work a little easier. That one's out. Let's get another one here. Okay. Alright. Both out. Let's pull this. There you go. Look at that. So the bolt is right there. So the bolt came out far enough now. Same thing on the other side. Come on. There we go. So she's pretty much almost out. So it's pretty much ready to come out. Okay, so we're going to pull this thing out. And then I got the new one on the floor. We'll put the new one in. Let's go from there. So we'll get the sucker out now. This one rack and pinion. Alright, so there's a side-by-side shot. That's the old one. There's the new one. Now what we're going to do is when the new tie rod end shows up, again, since we cracked these loose, we're going to count the amount of turns, you know, 15, 16 turns. And then when we put them on the new one, you know, the nut, we count them, and that'll kind of get you in the same ballpark that you're going to need when you put this thing back together, so you can drive it down to the alignment shop. Put the new one in. Don't scratch the paint. Alright. Get in your hole now. How much further I gotta go? Now we got the new rack and pinion in. Just be careful when you go to, you know, want to push it in through the actual rod. You don't want to do that too hard because you don't want to rotate the, because a lot of times the bracket pinion will come centered. We got the bolt in. We're gonna raise the engine cradle up, and hopefully you guys can see. All right, there we go. Does that look about right? That looks about right. Like I said, even if you're off, you know, one tooth or something, that's okay, because you'll be able to make that up. You just don't want to be way off. So we're going to raise the cradle back up. And at the same time, wiggle this just to get it to go down. Don't forget your power steering lines. Sometimes they'll get in a place where you can't get them. Oh, there we go. Let's go back up. See this 12mm bolt threads back in. I keep my hand up there. Okay, so that's tight. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and finish. So I had to lower it back down just a little bit so I get my bolts back in for the sway bar, and then I got my nuts and my bolts in for the rack and pinion. So I'm gonna tighten this up once I get these tightened down. Long 17. Grab it. One more. Alright, that's tight. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to put our new little O-rings on the power steering lines, and then we're just going to connect them back up. And once I get that done, I'll bring you guys back. The new tie rod end and new hardware. I'm surprised the new tie rod end came with a new jam nut. Normally you have to reuse the old one, but in this case we don't have to. You got a C-130 flying overhead right now, so put this one on. New jam nut. Put these back. Take this off. Alright, so, and she's done. I just need our tie rod ends. Put some oil in it. And leak check it. Line it. Should be good to go. Like I said before, when you take these out, you count the amount of revolutions that it takes to bring it out. And this one was 15. So we're gonna count 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And we'll just line it up with a spindle. I already put the other side on, so we'll put this side on. I don't know what size these are. These look smaller. 17s. Do is one here. We'll put our nut on, our cotter pin on. What we'll do is put the new grease zerk fitting up here on top. So after we got that tight, take our little grease gun. Oh, we'll grease our cert fittings. And you just want just until it puffs up. And that's it, just like that. Then take your cloth and wipe it off. My howling dogs. They hear sirens. Alright. Alright, so we got 262 on the clock. Let's go and start it. Smooth steering wheel. Just a little bit so the fluid can circulate through the system. And then just keep going further and further. And it's getting easier now. Just keep going a little further and further. Now it's nice and smooth all the way through. So there you go, guys. That's how you replace a rack and pinion in a 2002 to 2006. They were all the same body style, and I'm pretty sure one's prior and one's after. They're right about the same. I believe the 07s and up, I think they did get a little more difficult. We actually had to lower the hinges cradle further down. But anyways, that's pretty much how you do it. So it's all bled, it's all good to go. We're gonna drive it down to the alignment shop, get alignment down in it, and she should be good to go. So that's how you do it. So anyways, guys, you keep breaking them, I'll keep fixing them. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.